Welcome to another episode of Silly Laws and Stupid Criminals. And first of all, let me tell you why I started doing this. I have a YouTube series and podcast called Muddy Waters, and there I focus on scams, scam victims, disinformation, a lot of really weighty topics. And I was feeling like this is getting a little bit heavy. I need to have a little bit of fun. So that's why I created Silly Laws and Stupid Criminals, so we could all just kind of unplug for a moment, have a few laughs, raise an eyebrow or two, and along the way keep ourselves out of trouble, because what I'm going to share with you are some actual laws. Like, for instance, did you know in Alabama it is illegal to wear a fake mustache to church if wearing that fake mustache makes people laugh? Um, so I'm just imagining the jail cell where you've got the guy that ripped the tag off the mattress sitting next to the other guy going, "And what did you do?" And his mustache is like halfway hanging down like this. Yeah, it's also illegal, and keep this in mind if you're in Alaska and you happen to be traveling with a moose, and you bring that moose on the plane. I imagine you have to buy an extra seat for that moose. I don't know how that all looks, but it is illegal to push a moose out of an airplane in Alaska. You got to wonder. I'm going to do some research, maybe in the next episode, figure out what the origin of that particular law is. Um, but yeah, so listen, be careful, Alabama and Alaska. Yeah, I actually researched this kind of stuff. For instance, I found an article that said that there's a law in Connecticut that it is illegal to manufacture a pickle that doesn't bounce. And there were actually two men that were put in prison for selling non-bouncing pickles. But thank goodness investigative journalists came to the rescue when NBC News Connecticut did an extensive research into this, and they found that even interviewing the DA, that there is in fact no law on Connecticut books that a pickle has to bounce. They even did pickle bouncing tests just to see if it was legitimate or not. So you don't have to worry about that one, folks. Next time you buy a pickle in Connecticut, don't worry if it doesn't bounce. Nobody's going to prison. But this next one seems to hold up. In Hawaii, it is illegal to place a coin in your ear. Yeah, it turns out coins are not allowed to be placed in one's ear in Hawaii. The reason for this is back in 1900, when Hawaii became a part of the United States, there was an order to destroy all Hawaiian coins. And to avoid this, people would hide those coins in their ears. So that's why the law was put into effect. But it turns out now it's actually a signal that you are a drug dealer. So yeah, watch out for that, those of you in Hawaii. So we talked about a few silly laws. Let's talk about two stupid criminals. And for those of you listening on podcast, you're not able to see, I'll describe to you what's on my screen. It's two men in their mugshot with permanent marker drawn all over their face. So let me tell you the backstory on this one because it's a funny one. So one of the guys in the photo apparently suspected his girlfriend was cheating on him, and he thought he knew where the boyfriend lived and wanted to go over and surprise her and catch her in the act. So he conspired with his co-conspirator, and they realized, both of them, that they needed some disguises in order to pull this off successfully. So, brilliant criminals as they are, they took permanent magic markers, which, by way of their name, are permanent magic markers, and drew all over their face to darken their face, both of them, right? So they show up one of the side windows of this house and attempt to break in. And the owner happens to be home. The girlfriend, coincidentally, I don't think was there. But the owner of the home's there, hears the noise, sees two men with marker all over their face trying to break into a window, and makes enough noise that they realize that somebody's home. So they abandon the effort. They get in their car. The homeowner happens to notice the type of car and calls the police. And the police respond pretty quickly. He describes the car to a T. He describes what they look like to a T, and a little bit later, the police are doing their, routine drive-arounds, right? And they happen to notice a car that looks like the criminal's car. They pull it over under suspicion, and they find these two brilliant criminals sitting in the car with permanent marker all over their face, driving the getaway car. So I think you know where the story ends. Certainly the mugshot tipped the hand for that, but brilliant, guys, just brilliant. You couldn't have put a mask on your face that you could take off, ski mask, whatever it may be. Good going, guys. So just to recap, um, don't wear a fake mustache to church in Alaska. I'm sorry, in Alabama, unless you make sure that no one starts laughing. And when they do, guess what? There might be a 911 call. If you're in Alaska and you happen to be traveling with a moose, don't dare push that moose out of the airplane because there's big trouble awaiting you if you do. Conversely, and the good news is, if you're in Connecticut and your pickle doesn't bounce, sounds like no one's going to prison or jail for that. And when you're in Hawaii, don't stuff coins in your ear. And definitely, I hate to give hints and tips to criminals, aspiring criminals, but I guess I did in saying if you want to disguise, maybe don't use a permanent marker. Just maybe. So listen, thank you for joining me for another episode of the Silly Laws and Stupid Criminals YouTube series and podcast. And, I enjoy putting these together. Again, scams are a weighty topic, and this is a way to have a little bit of fun. But, next time you're sitting around the table, bring up the conversation. Hey, did you ever hear about that law in Alabama about fake mustaches? Here's what's going to happen because I've done it. People are going to grab their phone, they're going to start Googling stupid laws, and you're going to have fun for about a half hour to an hour of all the crazy laws out there. So listen, if you enjoyed this episode, I hope you'll click the thumbs up button. I hope you'll like and subscribe both to this series as well as the Muddy Water series. I hope you'll share it with friends who need a good laugh on a Wednesday, and usually I post these on Wednesday. And listen, I hope you have an excellent day. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next episode.